Hello everyone, welcome to WB Institution, the online education app. In design of mission elements, we are discussed lot of mission elements, that is clutches, brakes, etc. Today we are going to explain about design of brakes. What is meant by a brake? So brake is nothing but it is a mission element which is used to absorb energy from a rotating mechanism, which will be done by means of a friction, which will affect in the motion, that is for a rotating mechanism, that is it reduces the slow downs the speed of the rotating mechanism or completely stop the motion of that mechanism or a mission. So this is nothing but a brake. So coming to types of brakes, there are three types of brakes. One is mechanical brake, hydraulic brake and electrical brake. So in design of brakes, we are going to discuss about mechanical brakes. So what are these mechanical brakes? So mechanical brakes are nothing but an element which is used to reduce the motion of the speed by means of a physical contact. So that is nothing but a mechanical element. So this mechanical element here we call it as a mechanical brake. So these mechanical brakes are again classified into two types. So based on the application of the brakes, so it is classified into two types. One is radial brakes and other one is axial brakes. So these radial brakes are which will act on the circumference of the rotating mechanism. So mainly the rotating mechanism will be of a circular object. So that circular object, if the forces act on the circumference of the rotating mechanism, then we call it as a radial brakes. So if a force is acting from the sides of the rotating mechanism or a rotating part, then the force is acting axially towards the rotating object, then we say it as axial brakes. So based on the application of the brakes, we classify mechanical brakes into two types. So again these radial types are classified into two types. One is external loading and other one is internal radial brakes. So these external brakes, radial brakes, are nothing but, let us assume this as a circular object which is rotating either in a clockwise or in an anti-clockwise direction. So in order to stop this rotating mechanism, we have to apply some force on the mechanism. So if the force is acting on the circumference, that is from the outer side of the object, then we call it as an external brakes. Here we have shown these lines which are acting towards the rotating object. So that rotating object load is known as an external radial brakes. So in this internal radial brakes are opposite to external radial brakes. So in external radial brakes, the forces are acting from the outer side. So in internal radial brakes, so expansion takes place inside the rotating object. So the forces will exert from the inside of the rotating drum. So if you take an example of a drum, in a drum we will act internal forces which will be able to reduce the speed of the rotating object. So these are about radial mechanical brakes. So coming to axial mechanical brakes, which we have discussed, we will apply the force axially on a mechanical rotating object so that it reduces the speed of the rotating object or it may completely stop the mission. So this is nothing but an axial brakes. In practical applications where we can see all these types of three brakes, that is, one is external brakes in terms of train. So in a train we can see external type of force acting on the wheels so that the speed of the train will reduces. So that force applied in a train application is known as external radial forces. And an example of internal radial brakes is nothing but if you take a truck, in a truck there will be a drum which will present in between the wheel. So in that drum there are 4 blocks are arranged. So by using these blocks, some pressure is exerted from the inside towards the outer surface of the drum, so that the vehicle will get stopped. So the disc brakes we can see in lot of applications like two-wheelers and cars. So these are the practical applications where we use mechanical brakes. Now let us see how to design brakes based on the mission elements. So these external brakes are of two types, band brake and shoe brake. Internal brakes are internally expanding brakes, axial brakes are disc brakes. So in our syllabus we are going to mainly see about band brakes. So let us discuss about band brakes and how they are applied in nature. So how we want to calculate the force, how much amount of force to be exerted on the brake in order to reduce or completely stop the rotating object or the rotating mission. Let us take shoe brake. So here we have taken shoe brake, which is also known as a block brake. By means of a block we apply some force on the rotating object. By means of friction, the rotating drum or the rotating object will gets into a linear motion, that is it exerts no motion in the object. So there are two types of applications in shoe brakes. One is short shoe brake and the other one is long shoe brake. So short shoe brake and long shoe brake, only difference is the size of the brake. Here if you can see, the size of brake is very small and here the size of the brake is very large. So how we can divide these sizes? Based on the sizes, how we can classify short shoe and long shoe brake? That is, here 2 theta is nothing but the angle which is made by the contact surface of the brakes. So this 2 theta is known as contact angle. So if this 2 theta is less than or equal to 45 degrees, then we call it as a short shoe brake. If the same 2 theta is more than 45 degrees, then we say it as long shoe brake. So here this is an example of a shoe brake, how it operates. Here it is a fulcrum which is a rivet, or we can say it as a pivot, so which can operate to and fro motion with one fixture. So this is connected to a lever and a pressure is acted at the end of the lever, so that it will move the, at what direction we apply the force, it will act onto the, with respect to the fulcrum. Now on the lever a block is fixed. So at the block, which we call it as a shoe brake. So this block, at the end of this block, which the contact area makes with the drum, is given by a friction lining. So this friction lining will help us to reduce the movement of the rotating drum or a rotating object. So this is a drum which is fixed and it rotates. So the motion will be fixed and it has only the rotating motion. So when application of P, that is the braking force, is applied on the lever, this block will get in contact with the drum. So due to the friction in between the drum and the block, the rotating movement of the drum will get neglected. So it will get stopped or the speed can be reduced. So now let us see short shoe brake. What is the amount of force which will be exerted in the short shoe brake? So here it is a short shoe brake. Now if we take this short shoe brake, there are some forces acting on the surface of the shoe. So there are the forces which acting may be variable. So these forces, while comparing in the short shoe brake, we will take it as a common. So this is uniform pressure theory, as we discussed in the earlier classes for the clutches. So the similar way here we will take as a pressure is constant, only single type of load is acting on the short shoe brake. In the long shoe brake the force will be variable, so we cannot take it as a constant pressure process. Now we have to calculate the amount of braking force, which braking torque, we can call it as a braking torque. We have to calculate the amount of braking torque. So there is a drum which is rotating clockwise and it has a radius of outer radius of r. So and we have a shoe block which will be acting. Now it is not acting, so there will be no reduce of the speed in the rotation of the object. Now if we take in the view of a drum, so it is rotating in the clockwise direction. When we apply the brake, some force will be exerted on the surface of the drum, so that force will be Rn. So this is Rn, and while applying the forces, there will be frictional forces will be generated in between shoe and the drum. So that frictional forces, how in what direction the frictional forces will be happen. In case of the drum, it is rotating in the clockwise, then the frictional forces will be acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So in case of the block, that is the shoe, the forces will be acting towards the direction, that is the direction is shown upwards, that is the same force will be acting as similar to the drum. Why? Because the forces will be acting in between the shoe and the drum. That's why the force is common for both, but the direction is different. Now the direction is happening towards the direction of the shoe. Now in this case, the frictional force will be acted in which direction? So here the drum is rotating clockwise direction. In order to stop the drum, we have to act the force in the same direction. If we act in the opposite direction, then there will be a slip occurring in between shoe and the drum. That's why we call it as the direction will be in the clockwise direction. The frictional forces which will be acting will be in the clockwise direction. Now what is difference between long shoe brake and short shoe brake? The coefficient of friction will be varying. So the coefficient of friction in terms of long shoe brake will be different, and the coefficient of friction will be different in short shoe brake. Now let us calculate what is the frictional force acting in this case. So the frictional force Ft is given by mu into Rn, that is the normal force acting on the drum and also in the shoe. Now the braking torque will be calculated by frictional force into radius of the drum. So that is given by Tb equal to mu Rn into R. So this is the amount of braking torque which is acting in the short shoe brake. Now in place of mu, we have to give mu dash equal to 4 mu sin theta by 2 theta plus sin 2 theta for long shoe brake, and if we substitute the values in place of mu dash, then we get the braking torque for long shoe brake. So the similar process will be happening in both long shoe brake and short shoe brake, except the coefficient of friction. This coefficient of friction is known as effective coefficient of friction. This is effective coefficient of friction. Now let us calculate the amount of force which will be exerted on the end of the lever. Now we have seen the braking torque. Now we have to calculate the pressure how much we have to apply in order to stop the movement of the rotating drum. So in order to calculate, there are 3 different cases. So first case is the frictional forces and the pivoted point, that is known as fulcrum, to be acted on the same line. So here we can see the point O is fulcrum and the frictional forces are acting in a same line. So this is case number 1. So the case number 2 will be the frictional force will be acting downwards, and the case 3 will be the frictional force will be the frictional torque will be acting above the fulcrum. So there are 3 types of cases. In all 3 cases, we have to calculate the amount of force exerted on the lever. So in the first case, so let us say there is a clockwise movement in the drum. So here you can see the clockwise movement in the drum. So the force Rn will be acting on the shoe. Now the frictional force will be acting in the direction Ft, that is shown in the clockwise direction, and this is the pressure which will be applied on the lever in order to stop the drum, and the distances are x, that is from the fulcrum to the drum, and L, that is from the fulcrum and the point of force applied. So the direction is clockwise rotation of the drum. So in clockwise rotation of the drum, now we have to calculate the value of P. How we can calculate the value of P? That is the only relation. There are three types of forces acting in this. So Fx, Fy and moment. So this is Fx, this is Fy, and the moment will be acting at the point O. With reference to O we are explaining about. Now we want the values of the P. So how we can use Fx and Fy? That is, we cannot use Fx and Fy to calculate the values of P. So the only relation which we can calculate the value of P is the moment. The sum of moments will be equal to 0. So with respect to the point O, that is the fulcrum. Now if we calculate this, that is sigma MO equal to 0, which is given by, here the P is acting in clockwise direction and Ft is also acting in clockwise direction, Rn is acting in anti-clockwise direction. So there are three types of forces acting in this arrangement. So in this arrangement, if we take all these three forces with respect to the momentum, then we can derive the equation of the pressure. So here the force P into L minus Rn into X plus Ft into 0. Why? Because it is acting in the same line. So that equation is given by, from this equation we can take the value of P, which is equal to Rn into X divided by L. So this is for the clockwise rotation of the drum. Coming to anti-clockwise rotation of the drum, it is also in the same conditions, but the frictional forces will be acting in the opposite direction, since the drum is rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. Now the momentum, sum of moments sigma MO equal to 0. So here it is clockwise direction, Rn is anti-clockwise direction and Ft is also anti-clockwise direction. So the P into L minus Rn into X equal to 0. So from this equation the P equal to Rn into X divided by L. So this is the case 1 which we solve the value of pressure which will be exerted on the lever. So for short shoe brake and also for the long shoe brake. Now let us see the case 2 and the case 3 conditions.